जा रे। इसका हर एक वचन है अनमोल रतन, ऋषि मुनि बोले रे। पाले प्रभु प्रीतम छूटे जन्म मरण, शरण प्रभु की आजा रे। पल पल जीवन ले प्रभु का भजन, शरण प्रभु की आजा रे। बारंबार मिले ना ये मानुष जन्म, शरण प्रभु की आजा रे। शरण प्रभु की शरण प्रभु की आजा रे। शरण प्रभु की आजा रे। हृदय में ईश्वर भक्त के समाए, साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए। प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर भक्त के समाए,
Hari Om. We'll begin by chanting the invocation. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavit Vishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant verses.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुम् मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागम् ततः कुरु यतात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानम् विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोकः लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैः मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिः भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदम् यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्दधाना मत्परमाः भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः.
Sir,
Yeah.
good morning, sir. Namaste, Hari Om.
Namaste.
So, one
Hari.
question can I ask? It's not totally related to the qualities that we are doing, balanced and pleasure and pain, but it's
Yeah.
related to the methodology. May I ask that question, sir?
Yes.
So, my question is a lot of sentences. I'll try to articulate it to the best of my ability. The answer may be very short. So, what we are taught is that there are 3 R's: receipt, reaction, and response.
Yeah.
And the mind should consult the intellect before responding to not aggravate, get more desires. Right, sir? Then we are also taught that the intellect has 2 parts: the sushma, which is the subtle, and the tikshana, which is the gross. Another thing we are taught is that the subtle intellect is like a mariner's compass pointing to the north, always to the self.
Yes.
Right? Then again, we are taught that if you do morning studies 4 to 6, your intellect gets sharpened.
Yeah.
Now the question is, sir, the mariner's compass can only look at the transcendental, and the subtle can only look at the tikshana, that is the gross intellect. And the gross intellect looks after what we study, earn our daily bread. And the subtle can see beyond the world, at the transcendental.
Yeah.
And it tells you what your goal is. And the gross has to really execute the steps, correct?
Yeah.
So my question is, when we get up in the now the question is, when we get up and do the morning studies, you're also told further that your tamas will go down, rajas will go down, you will become more sattvic and probably get into meditation. So when you do the morning studies and karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga, what is getting sharpened? Is it the subtle intellect or is it the gross intellect? That was the question.
Both are getting sharpened. Even the basically the subtle intellect is getting sharpened. It is opening up and awakening to that reality. And also the gross intellect is getting sharpened in the sense of understanding ways of life, understanding the nature of the world, nature of things. So both intellects are getting sharpened by the morning study. So when you reflect on the various aspects of life, what is life, how should I act, how should I react, how should I respond, and what is my ultimate purpose, why am I doing all this, what is the end result of all my effort. So that is the subtle intellect which directs you towards the reality. That gets sharpened also. You become more and more focused upon the reality, more and more aware of the reality, and you also become more and more clear about the process which connects you from your present state to that ultimate state of reality. So both the intellect gets sharpened by studying the Shastras. If you study a book which is not spiritual, which is materialistic in its content or only terrestrial in its content, then only your gross intellect will get sharpened. For example, you're studying physics, your gross intellect will get sharpened. But the Shastras are written to awaken you to that reality. Their subject or point of interest is to understand the ultimate absolute reality which is transcendental. So when you study the Shastras, so your subtle intellect gets sharpened, also your gross intellect gets sharpened, because you also have to become aware of the process, how to connect to that. So I know my destination, I know I have to climb Mount Everest, but how to climb it, what are the equipments required, what is the route required, etc. That also has to be understood. So both gross intellect and subtle intellect get benefited by the study in the morning.
So in other words, you're trying to say that gives you the objective and this gives you the process how to
Yes,
reach there.
means to reach there.
In
Yes.
addition to the interaction with the world. That also improves because of
Yes,
your
process is,
gross has improved.
yeah, process is through the world only.
Oh, correct.
So when you act correctly in the world, keeping that as an objective and connecting to that objective in and through the world,
Right.
so the world also gets dealt with correctly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So, do we have any other questions? I thought, in fact, Mr. Chandwani asked a question. I was going to say we could start with a few questions before we get into the text further. So if there's any question, we'll deal with it. Otherwise, we'll continue with the text.
Sir, namaste, sir. Other day we were having doubt whether Shraddha is of mind or intellect, and because we don't know the real Supreme, so we have to have some kind of Shraddha, na, sir. That means we don't we have some belief or some faith, or one other fellow may call it as blind. But I need to have that Shraddha. And why some people are bestowed with Shraddha more and some people are bestowed Shraddha less? I request you to comment, sir.
Okay. See, Shraddha is to do with your intellect, basically. But you must understand, if I have Shraddha in something which I do not have a direct experience right now, that one day I will become a very great man, or not great man, I will climb the Mount Everest, or I will become a great scientist. If I don't have Shraddha, then it will be difficult for me. So on the way, so many challenges will come, so many ups and downs will come, which may rattle me. And like a child has Shraddha in its parents. So if there is any problem, it is difficulty, it runs to its parents for protection, or it has Shraddha. Shraddha is not totally under the canopy of mere logic. Because if I can logically calculate and see that I have this much money and I know where this car is bought from, I will go tomorrow to the showroom and I will buy this car. You know, don't need Shraddha, because you know these processes are well known to you, and tomorrow you will go and buy the car. But if you don't have the money, or you do not know the know-how, or you do not, then Logic is not able to guide you completely. So you have to have Shraddha. No, one day I will get this type of a car or whatever. Shraddha doesn't oppose logic, but it is not confined totally within the realm of logic. It's a unshakable belief in something. Unshakable belief. You may give whatever reasoning you want to give. He has unshakable belief in that, and he works towards it, believing that he will achieve it. He uses his logic also, he uses his efforts also, he uses everything, but he is not rattled on the way or shaken by any form of. I'll give you an example. For example, a person meets with a very bad accident, and the doctors say that this man will never be able to again go back to his sports. Supposing he was a footballer, he will never be able to go back to the field and play sports. He will always be handicapped. Now, as far as logic goes, as far science is the highest logic that we can think of. We cannot think beyond science. Science knows the maximum reasoning, and if science says that he cannot go back to playing football, then there is nothing we can do about it in terms of logic. In terms of a logical process, we cannot counter it because science knows the ultimate what humanity knows. But this man says, whatever science says, I have full faith. One day I will get back to my sports. I have full faith. And he establishes himself in that belief. And day and night he repeats that belief that one day I will get back. And he puts it effort also. He tries to move himself, he moves his legs, he tries to remain positive, etc. And you will find many examples in life where people who had been written off by science or written off by people and circumstances, they have actually made a comeback and become successful in their fields again. That is Shraddha. Somebody will say there is God, somebody will say there is no God, somebody will say there is this type of God, somebody will say there is that type of God. Reasoning can go in 10 different, million different directions. But if you have Shraddha, no, I have Shraddha. Whatever it is, I will surmount all obstacles, all doubts, all confusion, and achieve my goal. That belief in yourself, in your goal, in whatever destination you want, that Shraddha you have to have. If you do not have Shraddha, you cannot succeed in the spiritual field. Because God is not merely a concept of your logic. Reason is a tool to help you in the world, but it cannot connect you directly to God. God cannot come into your small intellect. God is transcendental. So you have to take the jump. And you can only take the jump if you have faith. You know, a young child, 4 or 5 years old, is sitting on a branch of a tree about 7 8 feet above the ground. And his father is standing down and he says, jump, my son, I'll catch you. Don't worry, you jump. Now, since he has faith in his father, that his father will not let him fall down, so he jumps and his father holds him. But otherwise, for him to jump from 7 8 feet, he's very frightened, he's very fearful. There is no logic that if you fall at this angle and I have this much strength and I have this, all that will not overcome his fear. What will overcome his fear is that he has faith in his father, that his father will not let him drop. So he jumps and his father holds him and he puts him on the ground. So Shraddha, if you don't have Shraddha, then your logic may someday get confused. Science says like this, Plato says like this, Socrates says like this, the ISKCON says like this institute says like this, you'll get confused. Reason is very important. You have to use reason. But you have to have Shraddha. Reason will not ultimately connect you and take you there. Reason is only a tool for guiding you through your actions, but it cannot ultimately take you to God. Shraddha will take you to God.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's an unshakable belief in something that I will become all right. Even if science says I will not become all right, I will become all right. So there are certain forces and powers which will start functioning inside you. That doesn't mean you do not take medical help, you do not take whatever help and support that you can, all that you take. But beyond that, it is Shraddha which will actually take you to your normal state, back to your normal state. So Shraddha is that unshakable belief in something. Now, blind faith, what is blind faith? Blind faith is something which opposes logic. That if I wear yellow shirt, only then I am successful. If a black cat crosses my road path, then I'm not successful. There's no logic or anything. There's just some belief you have set into your mind. It opposes logic. Shraddha doesn't oppose logic, but it transcends logic. So you see the difference between the two. It doesn't oppose logic, that there is God, that there is a supreme power, that there is some reality, is not against logic. Yes, it is a probability that there is some power, there is some supreme truth. Even science is trying to find it. But logic cannot reach it. Logic can point towards it, it cannot reach it. So Shraddha transcends logic, it doesn't oppose logic. Whereas blind faith, blind superstition, opposes logic. It's just a mental belief that you have created. That if I wear a yellow shirt only, I'll pass in the exam, otherwise I'll not pass. There is a mental belief that you have just picked up irrationally from somewhere. So Shraddha is extremely important in your spiritual journey. You have to have Shraddha in the Shastras, you have to Shraddha in the Guru, you have to Shraddha in your goal, in your ideal. Any other question? Okay. So we were covering the 35 qualities of a bhakta, and we have covered about 5 of them up till now. From verse 13, not hating any being, friendly, compassionate, free from attachment, and free from egoism. These are the qualities which he had covered, and we were doing balanced in pleasure and pain. See, like we have understood earlier in the class, that it is important to take control of your own self and transform yourself. Be centered in yourself and transform yourself. You are your responsibility. World is not your responsibility. You have to transform yourself and establish yourself in that space within you which is peaceful, enlightened, and joyful. There is a space within you which is peaceful, knowledgeable, and joyful. The world is what it is, full of challenges, full of turmoil, full of opposition, opposites, good, bad, right, wrong, etc. Whatever the world is. While dealing with the world, you have to be, your focus should be on what is happening within you. How are you reacting and how are you responding to the world? Not how the other person is behaving. You may be behaving rightly, wrongly, but how are you reacting to it? How are you responding? That is important. If your attention is only on correcting the other person or the other situation, outside situation, then you will be in an endless struggle, constant struggle in life, and things will never settle down within you. Because life will never be free of challenges and free of ups and downs. It's not that everybody has become sattvic, everybody has become good, and now you can live peacefully. All situations have become wonderful, so now you can live peacefully. That sort of a thing doesn't happen. You may correct one situation, but something else may come up. You may set one person right, something else will come up. So the world will constantly fluctuate between the opposites and give you the ups and downs of life. But if you have corrected yourself, your reactions, and you have awakened to the knowledge of the self within you, then you will find that peace within yourself in spite of the worldly conditions and situations. World being what it is, you will find peace within yourself. Peace is not outside, peace is within you. True happiness is not outside, true happiness is within you. So if you have to find it within you, then you have to set your thinking right, your reactions right, your mind set right, your attitudes right. You have to set yourself right. You have to be concerned with your correction, not correction of the world. Yes, you deal with the world, but you have to be aware of what is happening within you. That is important. For example, a person behaves badly with you or says something which is not right, harsh things. So you get angry, upset, and you shout at him and you put him in his place. So he apologizes, he becomes quiet, and you uh, show him his place. Okay, so now what has happened that you have put him into his place, but you have become a victim of your anger. You have not been able to control your anger, your irritation. So have you got actual victory? No. You are still an angry man, but you managed in this situation to put that other person and calm him down and show him his place. But you did not conquer your anger. You said it out of anger, out of irritation, out of loss of control. Today you put this person in his place, but tomorrow again you will meet somebody. Third day again you will meet somebody who will irritate you, who will make you angry. And every situation you will not be able to correct. So your anger and irritation will start eating you up and destroy your peace of mind. Because everything will start irritating you. You will become an irritable person. So the important thing is not merely to set the other person right. The important thing is to conquer your own anger, your own irritability, your own tendency to get irritable. That has to be conquered. And then deal with the situation without losing control of your mind, without losing charge of your own self. Then deal with the person. We get irritated with the children. We get so angry and offended with the children. You may tell off the child. You may make him quiet after shouting at him. But you have lost control over yourself. So you will never find that peace and happiness within yourself. You'll always be struggling and fighting with situations and environment around you. So the important thing is that what is happening within me? Am I free of anger? Am I free of jealousy? Am I free of fear? Am I free of insecurities? That is important. Whether I have changed the other person or not, whether I have changed the situation or the world around me or not, but if I have not changed my mindset, then I will constantly be in struggle and constantly fighting with the world. And so all these qualities we have to cultivate in ourselves. A bhakta's qualities that he has given us, these qualities have to be cultivated within ourselves. This shows that the mind is getting purified and it is moving towards the inner self, divine self, and getting connected to that supreme power, supreme reality. The quality that we were doing last time, we just touched upon, is balanced in pleasure and pain. A bhakta is one who is balanced in pleasure and pain. Now, what is this balanced in pleasure and pain? Sometimes we feel balanced in pleasure and pain means he neither feels pleasure, neither he feels pain. That is not balance, that is insensitivity. If you are not feeling something, then there is no question of balance or imbalance. Balance is when you are feeling it and still you are balanced. So you feel the pain or you feel the joy of the situation, but you don't lose your mental balance. You don't lose your sense of well-being or balance. Sense of balance is maintained within you. Now, what does that mean? Just because something has upset you or some upsetting thing has happened in the situation, in the office or in the house or somewhere, something upsetting has happened. That doesn't mean now you start snapping at it, everybody. You lose your head and you start getting angry with everybody. You lose your sensibilities, common sense, balance. You just because something upsetting has happened. No, you keep your maturity, your sensibilities going, your right thinking going, and you deal with it in a mature and sensible manner. I did not say anything to you. Why are you snapping at me? If I say good morning to you, you say good morning. Because something else has happened to you, so you snap at me. He is balanced. If challenges happen in life, he reacts to them in a mature manner. Whatever he needs to do, he does. He understands the seriousness of the situation and he does whatever he needs to be done. And if something very exciting happens, something very successful happens, something very nice happens, which makes him happy, he doesn't get carried away. Oh, today I'm taking off from my office. I got so excited, and he gets so egoistic about it. Or he thinks that he's become the emperor of the world or something. Nothing like that. He's still very balanced, still very polite, still very well mannered, still very mature in his reactions. So when the challenges of life come, or when the successes or the excitements of life come, a bhakta doesn't get carried away by these things. He remains balanced and he reacts in a mature manner. ठीक है ना? Supposing, for example, if you got a very comfortable bed to sleep with, a beautiful bedroom, beautiful air conditioning, that doesn't mean you oversleep, you get up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You still get up at the right time, 5 o'clock or whatever it is, and you do your exercises, you do your studies, and you do your meditation. You're balanced. Supposing you suddenly lose some money in business, you don't become snappy and all. You do whatever you can do. You remain balanced. You maturely react to the situation, maturely deal with the situation. That is called balanced in. If you lose a game, you don't lose your head. If you win your game, you don't lose your head. It's a game. You take it in a sporting manner. If you win, fine. If you lose also, you congratulate the other person. That's it. So that's sort of a balance in a human being which he maintains within himself and not get carried away by the good things happening in him or the bad things happening within him. Even though he feels it, he may feel the pain too much or he may feel the joy too much, but still his sensibility, what he needs to do, what he ought to do. He continues to do in life what he ought to do. You understand? Just because you got a lottery of 2 million rupees, oh, from today, I will get up at 10 o'clock. I will eat whatever I want to do. I will do whatever I want to do. I will not listen to anybody. I will do whatever my mind says. That is losing your head. Just because you got a lottery of 2 crore rupees doesn't mean you lose your head. You still continue with your life normally. Normal. You get up, you do your studies, you deal with people politely, you conduct yourself correctly, you respect the elders, you do normal things. So a bhakta doesn't get excited by joyous things, good things happening in his life, and depressed with negative things in his life, that is not able to do anything. He just feels as if he has lost everything and he reaches into a state of depression and hopelessness. No, he continues to strive correctly. Whatever he can do, he continues to do. So that is called balanced in pleasure and pain. He is balanced. He doesn't get carried away. He uses his intellect and drives himself accordingly. Then the next quality is he is forgiving.
Hari Om, sir. Sorry, I had a question in the chat. Do I repeat it?
Yeah. I couldn't
So
read it.
So the yardstick of being balanced is the ability to do the right action irrespective of the agitation or excitement.
Yeah. Correct. Yes.
So is it a gradual process? I mean, one would like to be in control of the mind also and not get too agitated. So does it work in gradual stages then?
Yes, the mind, as it comes under the control of the intellect, slowly, it balances out. You see, excitement or agitation, these are all restlessness of the mind. So, why we call nervous 90s? So, you get excited that am I going to get the 100 or am I not going to? So, when you get excited and you're not balanced in your approach, then you're liable to make mistake in that excitement. But if you're balanced, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter means it's not that you become indifferent or you become casual and you start. Well, if you get it, very good. If you don't get it, also, yes, chances are it's a game. You might not get it also, but you keep playing. At the end of it, you might hit a double century. That's okay. But you constantly play with a balanced mind, with a balance. You don't get excited or you don't get depressed if you got out at 97. Then you don't get depressed. It's okay. You come back to the pavilion smiling. Bad luck. Never mind. That's it.
So the counter to that would be probably Virendra Sehwag, who would always come to the 100 with a 6. You would probably not get carried away, get agitated or get carried away by the situation. Probably that could be an explanation.
Probably. I don't know. He would hit the 6 out of excitement to get over
But
the
all three times, sir, 100, 200, 300.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah. One cannot judge merely by just because he got away with it, so he was balanced or not. I'm not commenting on him. But yes, you should be balanced. Even if you are 298, very close to a triple century, you should be balanced. You should hit the ball with merit. If it needs to be hit for a 6, you hit it for a 6. If it needs to be hit for a couple of runs, you hit it like that. So you play on merit. Don't get excited. So that sort of a balanced mind. In an interview, if you go, you get excited. You get if you get selected, if you don't get selected, get into depression or something. No, balance. Life goes on. So in that sense, a man must see, it is the mind which gets agitated and excited. It doesn't remain calm. It doesn't remain balanced. It gives too much value to a failure or a success. Too much value. Yes, it feels the pain. It feels the joy. but it doesn't lose control. It doesn't lose. It's like going in a Mercedes car. You know the road is bad, the ups and downs, but because the shock absorbers are so good that you don't feel the discomfort sitting inside the car. But if the shock absorbers are bad, then you will have a terrible time and you will have a bad back by the time you reach your destination. People traveling in both the cars with bad shock absorbers and very good shock absorbers, both of them realize that the road is not good, it is bad. But in one, the person is so badly affected that his back gives way, and in the other, he knows, but he reaches home safely, safe and sound. So if your shock absorbers are not good in life, then you go to a rollicking up and down state and you come back shattered and disheveled totally. But if your shock absorbers are good, you recognize the nature of the world, you recognize what's happening in the world, but you reach home safe and sound without getting so totally disheveled and unrested, uh, disturbed. So a man who is balanced in his emotions, he has emotions, but the emotions don't topple him over. Do not uh, distress him like that. Do not make him lose his balance. That is, then you can experience the emotions even very strongly. See, some people are afraid of falling in love. Do you know why? Because they cannot bear the fact if their heart is broken, then what will happen? Or they are afraid to play a game because they cannot stand defeat. So they will not play the game. They will not engage. Or they will not go to the interview because there is so much of excitement that they will not go to the interview only. So how will you face life? How will you face the beautiful emotions of life, experience the beautiful emotions of life if your mind is not in your control? If you want to experience, see, you see a happy movie, Laurel Hardy movie, Charlie Chaplin movie, and at the same time you see a tragedy, a tragic movie, you enjoy both of them. But supposing you get so upset by seeing the tragic movie that you walk away halfway, then you will not be able to enjoy the movie because you are not able to experience the emotion without getting disturbed, completely disturbed. You are able to see a tragic movie 2-3 times also because you experience the emotion, but you are not unsettled by the emotion. You experience the emotion. So similarly in life, when we are able to experience the emotions, the successes and failures, the joys and the sorrows, the ups and downs of life, you are able to experience it without getting unsettled, then you will experience life and enjoy it like a play, like an adventure. But if small things unsettle you, if you're so sensitive in your mind that you can't even get out of your house, you can't even meet anybody because anything can unsettle you, you're so sensitive, then you will not be able to participate in life. You will not be able to enjoy life. So when you read stories of Ramayana or Mahabharata and Bhagavatam and all, so many adventures are there, so many situations are there, so many ups and downs are there. You enjoy seeing it, but I don't know how much will you enjoy experiencing it. If you were part of it, you would have collapsed. But when you see it, then you enjoy it because you're not part of it. So if you want to be part of life and enjoy it and experience it, then you have to be balanced in your mind. You have to have a strong, stable mind within yourself. Then you will be able to experience all the emotions of life. You will be able to experience, you will be able to sympathize, you will be able to be compassionate, you will be able to be loving, you will be able to be forgiving, you will be able to be charitable. All those things will come into you. So the next quality, which is called forgiving, is again a quality which belongs to a strong person. Forgiveness cannot be given by a weak person. The capacity to forgive belongs to a person who is strong within himself. He can forgive. A weak person can never forgive. He is always reactive. He is always revengeful. He always wants to give it back. He is always insecure. So he can never be forgiving. What is forgiving? Forgiving is not to have a revengeful attitude towards somebody, not to have a hateful attitude towards somebody. It doesn't mean that you do not take a corrective stand, you do not take a corrective measure, you do not take a corrective action. You take a corrective action, but you do not have a revengeful or a hateful attitude towards the other person. I'll show him, I'll finish him. What does he think of himself? That hatefulness, that revengefulness. Your mind is occupied that I have to show him, I have to get even, I have to get back to him. It's a sign of magnanimity, strength. That doesn't mean you do not take a corrective action. If somebody is throwing stone at your house, at your window panes, you don't stop him, or you do not seek help, or you do not report it to the police. You may do that. But that revengeful attitude, negative attitude, that is wrong. There is an incident which happened long time back. It was recorded in a, you must have heard it, I don't know. But that shows who is a forgiving person and who is not a forgiving. See, in a mall in America, there is a crowd which was moving around, and it so happened that when two people were crossing a corner, they happened to bump into each other out of mistake. And one of them happened to be Muhammad Ali, that boxing champion. And the other person happened to be just some puny fellow, small fellow. And they happened to clash against each other. And immediately this other fellow who was short and puny, he exclaimed, "Oh, you fellow, you all walk blindly. You should be more careful. You should know where you're walking." And he started screaming at him. And Muhammad Ali was immediately apologetic. He says, "I'm sorry, though it was not his mistake. It was both people. It was mistake by both. Either you say it was both of their mistake or nobody's mistake. It was just happened." Now look, Muhammad Ali, even though it's not his mistake, but he said, "I'm sorry. I'm very sorry." And this little fellow, not even 1/10 of his strength, is getting very aggressive and snapping at him and saying, "You fellows ought to know where you're walking and how you're walking." See the reaction. This fellow is getting angry and aggressive over something because of his insecurity. Muhammad Ali, who could have just picked him up like this and put him on the side and continued, he could have just pushed him, "Hey fellow, stop talking like this," and he could have just put him on the side and continued. He was being over apologetic. So forgiveness is something which only a strong person, a stable person, an established person can give, not another person. A weak person cannot be forgiving. He will be hateful and he will be negative because there is a weakness inside him. He is insecure. Everything is a threat to him. And when you are mature, you don't have feelings like hatefulness and revengefulness towards something. It's like a child who doesn't know that your paper lying on the table is of importance, and he comes and starts scribbling on it and destroys the paper. Now, will you become revengeful towards the child? Child is doing it out of ignorance. He doesn't know. You should have been careful. You should not have kept such an important paper there. So you have kept it. Now you say, "I will show this child. I will give him such a spanking that he will know." No, that shows your immaturity, your lack of understanding. People who work like this, they are in ignorance. They don't know what they are doing. Those famous words of Jesus Christ. See, where can you find a greater example than this? A man who is only doing good for humanity, is only teaching them the best things of life, who is directing them to the highest good for themselves. Such a man is plotted against and given such a harsh treatment. For what? For being good, for being righteous, for teaching people the right path. This is the world. And what is his reaction? He says, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what karmas will hit them by doing this. They are in ignorance. They are like children. They don't know. Their own property papers, they are scribbling and spoiling it. Their own inheritance, they are ruining it. He
So I
doesn't.
had a question, sir.
Yeah.
How does one know whether he's forgiving out of cowardliness, avoiding conflict, or he's forgiving out of true strength?
See, cowardliness is there when you need to do something, you are able to do that. Cowardliness means, supposing you have to say, Sir, please don't park your car in my parking place. This is my parking place. At least you can say that. But if you are cowardly, you will not be able to say that also. He may remove his car or he may not remove his car. That is his maturity or immaturity. But if you are not able to do what you need to do, just because you are so scared, fearful, and therefore you're not even doing what you can do, at least you can put a protest. At least you can say, excuse me, sir, don't do it, or uh, give my thing back to me, or whatever it is. So cowardliness, you will know yourself that I am not saying it out of fear. Strength is, you can put the person in place, or you can take corrective actions, and if you can, you should take it, but without a sense of revengefulness. You should not cowardly, but you should take, supposing you are angry and somebody comes and parks in your parking place, and you give him a nice beating because he is weaker than you. Now that is also a cowardly act, because you are overreacting to the situation. You could have told him, excuse me, please remove your car, this is my parking place. You could have told him politely, but because you saw that you could hit him and get him out of the place, so you hit him and got his car out. But when you saw that the other person is big and burly, strong, then you kept quiet. That is cowardly. You should have told that big fellow also that, excuse me, sir, could you kindly put your car that side? We have parking problems here. Now, that fellow might not do it or do it. That's his outlook. But you are not cowardly. You are taking the right steps and you are talking to him politely. You are talking to him righteously. And you are braving the situation. You're not unnecessarily fighting with him. You're not trying to have a boxing match with him. But whatever is required to be done in the situation, you are able to do it. So then you're not cowardly. You may not succeed in your effort. That's another thing. But you have gone the distance that you could. So a cowardly man will try to be very brave where he is stronger, and he will totally withdraw where he is weaker. That is cowardly. But you do what you need to do in a situation, then you are okay. So therefore,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. So overreacting to a situation, overreacting. Just because you're angry, so you overreact, and if you can get away with it, you bash up the fellow or you abuse him or something. That's all cowardly. Do what is necessary in the situation, to the extent it is necessary. Not more, not less. So Be forgiving. Forgiving means do not carry a resentment in your mind all the time. You have better things to do. You have better destinations to go to. Why should you carry a resentment in your mind and occupy your mental space with a resentment rest of your life as if you have nothing better to do? हो गया. Somewhere you win, somewhere you lose, somewhere you gain, somewhere you don't. But you do not lose your sense of direction, your sense of why are you polluting and corrupting your mind? Divine justice will be done. You leave it to the divinity. Divine justice will be done. You put in your effort that you need to do. You do what you need to do. You love the person. See, there are two things. One is the intention and one is the expression. We must not mix up in the two things. You say, if I love everybody, if I'm good to everybody, everybody will take advantage of me and I will become like a doormat. This is ridiculous. If I'm good and righteous, why will I become a doormat to other people? I know how to conduct myself. I know how to deal with situations. I am an intelligent man. I know how to perform my actions. It doesn't mean somebody says, please hand over your car keys and I will hand over the car keys. Please vacate your house, I will vacate the house. It's not like that. That is not called goodness. That is foolishness. So one is expression, action, and one is intention. I have love towards you. I have good feelings towards you. But sometimes I may have to be a little harsh because the situation requires that. Sometimes I have to be a little distant, a little indifferent because the situation requires that. That doesn't mean I don't love you. A mother loves the child, but sometimes she might have to scold the child. Sometimes she might buy him presents and give it to him. Sometimes she might make very tasty food and feed him. Sometimes she might take him to the mall and for shopping. And sometimes she might punish him. These are all expressions, but behind these expressions is a clear feeling of love. That feeling of love and feeling of oneness and feeling of righteousness is there. Now, what we do is we manipulate the expression, but our intentions are all wrong. We smile at other people, talk sweetly to the other people, but inside our mind we have ulterior motives, or we don't have that love and feelings for the other person. But outwardly we express as if we have a lot of feelings and for the other person. So in expression, we try to be all these 35 qualities we have, but in intentions and in our feelings, we have none of those qualities. So what is important is that inside we should be very forgiving, we should be very compassionate, we should be very loving, we should be very righteous. But the action has to be manipulated correctly. You may love your staff, your servants, the people who are working in your house very much and look after them very nicely. But that doesn't mean when you leave the house, you leave all the cupboards open, leave all the keys there. Because they may not be that responsible people. They may not be that trustworthy people. So therefore you will have to shut your cupboards and then go. That doesn't mean you do not take care of them or you do not respect them for what they are or whatever. That is at expression level. Oh, I love them so much. I feel for them so much. So you leave all your everything in the open. And when you come back, most of it is missing. And then you curse your luck and then you curse people and curse God. And that is a stupid action. You care for them, you respect them, you look after them, you love them, but you don't act in a way which is not correct to the situation. You act according to the necessity of the situation. You can love a criminal, you can love a tiger, but you cannot let the tiger off the cage so that he finishes 10, 15 people. What type of love is that? You love the tiger, but you are helpless because his nature is like that. If you leave him, so you have to keep him confined in a certain area or in a cage or in a zoo or something. You have to keep him confined. You may love him. Similarly, you may love the sage, but the sage is harmless, is beneficial. So you let him be whatever. So when we have developed that, see, God is all love, then why is there so much misery and pain in life? It is not His doing. It is because we have weaknesses, negativities which need to be corrected. It need to be operated. He is helpless. He is full of love. He wants you also to become full of love. But because we have negativities, it is our negativities which give us pain and suffering. It is not His love which gives us pain and suffering. It is our negativities which give us pain and suffering. So action-wise, you must adjust according to the situation. You love all your children in the class equally, but somebody gets 70%, somebody gets 80%, somebody gets 90%. But you love the 70% also equally, 80% also equally, 90% also equally. That's an expression at the action level according to the merit of the situation, merit of what is required. That is not because you love somebody more or somebody less. So similarly, we are compassionate and loving towards everybody, even if we are harsh towards somebody or indifferent towards somebody or angry towards somebody. The bottom line is it is an expression of love because you care for the person, because you love the person. Therefore, sometimes you have to be loving, sometimes you have to be angry, sometimes you have to be good, sometimes you have to be appearing to be harsh, etc. So when we have established ourselves in that truth, in that ultimate reality, in that ultimate pure self, in the divine being, the nature of that divine being is all love, all oneness, all goodness, all truthfulness, all happiness, all peace. That is the nature of the divine. Nature of the mind is to be corrupted with weaknesses, anger, fear, jealousy, arrogance. That is the nature of the mind. Nature of the self is to be loving, pure, good, accepting, forgiving, etc., etc. So the closer you get to the self, more these qualities manifest inside you. The more you are trapped in the mind, the more negativities begin to come up inside you. So the whole exercise is to move out of the trappings of your desire and mind and establish yourself in that pure self within yourself. The kingdom of heaven is within you. To work on yourself, get out of these trappings and center yourself in that state of peace and bliss within yourself. Then deal with the world. Expressions will vary, but you will always be in a state of peace and bliss and fullness. You will always be in a state of completeness and fullness. So, I think it's time. We'll conclude the session for today. And some of there are many more qualities which have to be continued. So I'll wish you all the best in your spiritual journey. And thank you, all of you. It's nice talking to.
Thank you for your lectures this month. We learned a lot, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
I
you,
wish
sir.
you all
Hari
the
Om.
best.
Thank
Hari
you,
Om.
Alokji. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Alokji.
Hari Om. Wish you all the best.
So one question, last question, sir. You normally end with a shloka. What is the meaning of this shloka, sir?
We didn't chant. We'll chant
No,
the
what is the
shloka now.
meaning? What are the meanings, sir? That was.
Purnamada Purnamidam. Everything
sir.
is that is infinite. This is infinite. This infinite has come from that infinite, and what remains is infinite. We'll just chant that once. I forgot to chant it. We'll chant it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purni Shanti. Hari Om.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Thank
muk,
you.
sir.
Wish you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om,
Bye.
sir.
Bye bye. Hari Om.